Since day one of Jimmy Butler's NBA career, he has been nothing but an underdog. From being the last pick in the first round of the NBA draft, from proving himself as a reliable role player on the Bulls, to becoming a starter, to eventually becoming their best player, to eventually leaving the Bulls, going to the Minnesota Timberwolves, helping lead that team to a playoff berth for their first time in 13 years since Kevin Garnett was on the team during that time. Not only that, but go to a Philadelphia 76ers team that were one shot away from possibly going to their first conference finals since Allen Iverson was on the team. So many examples of people constantly counting out on Jimmy Butler. And the same could be said with his recent departure from the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat and Jimmy Butler have had a long ride. They made it to 2 NBA finals. They had some elite runs. But the guy who made that all happen was Jimmy Butler. Yes, when Jimmy Butler especially got into the playoffs, his game elevated to even new levels. This man has been an underdog his entire NBA career, even ever since he was in high school and in college. The man has always had to prove himself that he belonged in those conversations, and he's doing this now on this Golden State Warriors team. I think all of us know at this point the drama that happened in Miami and how everything has transpired. But when you look now at what the Warriors are doing in comparison to the Heat look like a below average basketball club in comparison to the Warriors now, who are a contender. Crazy to say, because just a few months ago, the Warriors were on a run of an all-time low, playing as good as they were at the beginning of the season. And there were questions on retirement possibly or rebuilding possibly were definitely in the mix for this Warriors team. It's like they almost gave up. But once they acquired Jimmy Butler, Jimmy just brought this new life to this team. And you don't have to just look at the numbers just to tell you how great Jimmy Butler is. It's what he does off ball. He's a great screen setter. He's a great passer. He does everything that you need a player to do, and especially him still being an elite defender. And I can't even lie, myself included, when Jimmy was traded to the Warriors, I didn't really think a whole lot of it because, well, he's getting older in age, and if you look at the season he was already having prior, he was not really playing the best. But when he really meant, he said, I'm just not having fun playing basketball right now, he truly meant that during his time with the Miami Heat, because this Warriors team now is playing some of its best basketball in a long time.
How much fun are you having right now?
A lot. I really enjoy being in soccer and being around these guys. Obviously, it's fun to win. It's also fun whenever I get to be myself every possession on and off the floor. So life is good.
Jimmy is so special of a player as well as how he elevates his teams and his players. I mean, for crying out loud, when he was on the Minnesota Timberwolves, he helped elevate the games of Karl-Anthony Towns and sometimes Andrew Wiggins, helping lead that Timberwolves team to a playoff berth. When he went to the Miami Heat, for a perfect example, they had Bam Adebayo, a young talent, and as well as Tyler Hero, who was another rising young talent. And for most definitely, he elevated the game of Bam Adebayo, making him a multiple-time All-Star, an All-NBA player. Yeah, and the Miami Heat traded Jimmy Butler away, and they look absolutely foolish in the process. And of course, doing that same thing on this Warriors team. And from a quote from Moses Moody himself, he said that he affects winning, and winning affects everywhere else. When we're playing good, it's a lot easier to cool off the court. He is who he is. He has a big presence. He's authentic to himself. He does do the candles, music, however he's feeling, whatever it is. He's definitely has a presence in the locker room. He's a real dude, and real dudes are contagious. One of the key elements to the Warriors now, and especially their newfound success, is for Steph Curry and his time when he's off the court. This is a really huge deal because the Warriors really back then, they were not a great team when Steph went to the bench. And matter of fact, one of the worst teams in basketball when Steph went to the bench. Steph Curry went to the bench. The Warriors had a -1 per 48 minutes when Steph sat. But in the 19 games that Jimmy Butler has played for the Warriors, The Warriors have outscored their opponents by 8.9 points per 48 minutes when Steph rests. And putting that further into perspective, this is better even when the Warriors had Kevin Durant on their team during that time. Not to mention as well the versatility that Butler brings and the small ball lineups that the Warriors can run now with having him on the team. And looking at another really big statistic, the net rating of the Warriors increased from number 16 to now the 3rd in the entire NBA. And that's really putting them in the conversation with some of the best teams in the Western Conference. But, this is still technically that honeymoon phase with the Warriors. And granted, they really haven't played all the greatest teams during this run as well with having him now on this team. There's still a lot of tests that this Warriors team is going to have to go through. And really, when you look at the Western Conference in general, the Lakers, they're still a very elite team. You have the Houston Rockets, and you have the Thunder. But the only thing is with the Thunder and the Rockets is that these are some really young teams. And when you have an experienced veteran team like the Warriors, that's where they have more of the advantage. I saw some crazy stat anyways where like the Thunder, the average age of their team is like 24 years old. And I believe Auburn is their average team. This is a college team, of course. Their average age is like 20 old or something around those lines. But really, when you look at just the impact though that Jimmy Butler has had with his Warriors team, he has simply brought back life to a team that was losing it for a while. And one thing to really point out is just look at how the Miami Heat are now. I think what this really shows as well and exposes how mediocre of a roster Pat Riley really had. When you look at it on paper, yes, Jimmy Butler, at the end of the day, he did want his money. All players really want their money. And it is a risk giving a guy who's 35 type of money that you're giving him, a guy that is still technically an elite player, but still getting up there in age. It's definitely a risk. But what Jimmy Butler is really showing you is how the Miami Heat simply just don't have a team that is talented enough to win. Look at what they're doing without him. Pat Riley has not really built a true contender for this Miami Heat team. Yes, granted, Jimmy was able to take them to an NBA Finals, for crying out loud. But really, looking at it at the grand scheme of things, the only guy that has really supreme talent on that team is Bam Adebayo. And Tyler Hero, yeah, he was an all-star this year, and he's emerging as a player. But he's not a guy who I would really pick to be the best player on a franchise type of team. A team that is needed a guy like that. Jimmy Butler simply carried this Miami Heat team each year on his back to deep runs in the playoffs, and that simply just does get talked about enough. People, all they talk about is just the negativity and all the locker room drama and all the things that you hear about him. But the reality is Jimmy Butler has been nothing but an underdog, as I said before, since day one. He's had nothing but success come to his NBA career because the guy has put in the work. He's doing things now for this Warriors team, even though his numbers may not be crazy. They may not be 20-something points per game. But he does everything else so well on this team that's why they win games. It's essentially like having another version of Draymond Green, except a much better scorer than Draymond Green. Y'all know that when Draymond Green, when he went down with injury in that year from the Cavs, they played them in the finals, you saw how below average of a team the Warriors became without Draymond Green. And when you have another guy like that now on this team, that really does just add such an element to this roster. This is a really feel-good story, in my opinion, because Jimmy Butler is a guy who definitely deserves to win and really compete at the highest level for an NBA championship. But there's one guy who deserves it, it's him, because he's done things that many other stars simply can't do, and that's carry a team like how he has to NBA Finals and really just put the team on his back. That just shows you, though, that how he can take his game to just different levels. And we all know playoff Jimmy is a real thing. And that is something they got to look forward to seeing now that he has this Warriors team now in a position to compete and make a legitimate playoff run. We shall see how it all plans out. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more basketball content each and every single week. Have a great day. Peace.